Story 1. Getting older feels like unlocking secret levels in a game. You gain wisdom, patience, and a better sense of what really matters. Sometimes I miss the energy and free time of my younger self. So it's a love-hate relationship. Story 2. Every birthday is a patch update with more bugs than fixes. Story 3. I hate it. Nothing is worse than throwing my back out while I am asleep a couple of times a year. Story 4. I have mixed feelings about it. I like it, but it would be nice if my life were actually going the way I wanted. Story 5. Downside. Old injuries and wear can cause anxiety about getting hurt again, which is new for me. Upside. It is minor, but knowing it happens to everyone gives me peace. It affects billionaires and people who would like to buy their way out of it, so it feels at least somewhat fairer than most things. Story 6. I'm grateful for another day, but being diagnosed with perimenopause made me stop and think about how I don't take advantage of the good days when they come around. Women in their 40s understand. I won't lie, I complain a lot. There wasn't a manual for this when I was growing up. Story 7. I do not like the way my body is changing, but I feel a lot less insecure than I did in my youth. I am less worried about what people think of me. Story 8. I am a 44-year-old single mother with children. I have found so much joy in life, but I have to actively stop and consciously appreciate what I have every day. I miss my 20s when I did whatever I wanted with no worries about my health or taking care of someone. Still, I would not have my life any other way now. Being a mother is the best thing I have ever done. As hard as it can be, I like that I know I control my life. I have been through some very difficult experiences with my ex, and I would not have had this perspective without aging and going through those challenges. Story 9. I love it. Every day I'm closer to leaving this floating rock. Story 10. Getting older is still the most advantageous alternative. Story 11. I did not mind until I started feeling it. Body parts began breaking down and aching for no reason. I lost stamina and needed ibuprofen to get through the day. I no longer feel like a person. I am a mechanical entity that needs constant maintenance. Story 12. It's a mixed bag. Having more money is nice, and removing unimportant bullshit from your life is great. On the other hand, it can get boring, in my opinion. Story 13. I'm fine with it. I started graying in my early 20s and now look like a former wartime president. But I like my salt and pepper. I am not going to resist it. I will enjoy however much time I have left and take my lickings as they come. Story 14. The greatest benefit of getting older is learning to be genuinely happy with who I am and caring less about what others think. When I was younger, I was insecure and anxious and hated myself. As I got older, I started to see that many things that once seemed so important really do not matter. It is such a freeing feeling. Story 15. I used to dislike getting older until one of my childhood friends died of sudden arrhythmic death syndrome at age 23. Now I feel privileged to age. I am 36, and each year I am more grateful than the last. Growing older is not guaranteed. Story 16. My 2 younger siblings are dead. 2 others were destroyed by our dad. I am grateful to be alive because I could have been like them. Story 17. As a woman with a ditzy look, I'm enjoying not looking so young anymore. I'm not the sharpest tool, but I'm sharper than I look. I have a round face, big eyes, and naturally blonde hair. People talk down to me even about things I know, not just men mansplaining, but younger women who assume I'm younger than they are. I changed careers in my late 20s and people assumed I was 19 to 23 when I was nearly 30. People still think I'm younger than I am, which can feel nice because they assume I'm 25 to 27 and don't talk down to me in the same way. I went through early menopause, so in a way I have fast-tracked some of the more challenging parts of aging as a woman. I'm not looking forward to the physical decline that can come with age, but I take good care of myself through exercise and a healthy diet, and I hope that delays it as much as possible. On the whole, I'm really enjoying this stage. The only worry is dating. I'm in a relationship now, but not sure where it's going. If I end up single again in a few years, I know dating will get harder, and I mostly want to settle down without drama, just live with someone and be happy. If I end up on my own, that will be fine too. I always wanted a family, but menopause has made that unlikely. Story 18. I am in the throes of menopausal changes, and my body is short-circuiting. I hate this phase, but I am told it gets better, so I will reserve my final judgment until this is over. Story 19. It sucks, but there's nothing I can do about it. I think it annoys me more than it should because I never got to enjoy my life when I was young, and now I'm just an old geezer. Story 20. The thing I noticed about getting older is that you don't notice or mind it when you are happy. But if you are unhappy, it becomes a monster that taunts you every day. Story 21. I do not particularly like it, but since there is nothing I can do about it, I just accept it and get on with my life. Story 22. I absolutely cannot wait to play video games with all my friends who live in nursing homes. Story 23. As you get older, you notice the same patterns in people and situations and can predict outcomes more quickly. Story 24. Some days I like it, some days I don't. I guess that's part of life. You just learn to roll with it. Story 25. Getting older is great as long as you have a healthy body and a sound mind. Most people are being misled. Story 26. I love it. I feel that with each passing year I'm becoming more myself. I'm also enjoying the silver hairs I have right now, and I'm only in my early 30s. Story 27. I just don't understand how much faster time goes by now than when I was a teenager. The years felt long and eventful, but now they seem to blink past with very little worth remembering. Story 28. I like it because I am growing as a person, physically, mentally, and emotionally. I dislike it because I feel like I am running out of time for some things and because I did not take opportunities in the past that could have changed my life. Let's see what the upcoming month brings. Story 29. There is no point in fighting it. We can do so much. I like getting gray. I have a long, full beard with a single streak of white running all the way down, and I love it. Story 30. My view on it is simple. Either you grow old or you do not. Since I have no interest in the latter right now, I continue to accept the former. Story 31. I just turned 37. One of the biggest changes I noticed was how differently people in their 20s, particularly early to mid-20s, treated me during a graduate program I recently completed. If any of them were openly rude about my age, or if they barely registered my existence or ignored me, which happened more than I expected, it was almost hilarious because it felt like arrogant, overgrown children revealing their own blind spots and lack of maturity. That makes you rethink the idea that there is something better about being that age. Sure, your skin is better and you will inevitably receive more attention as someone in their 20s, which some people miss. But you are also less wise, and the older people in the room are judging you and holding their tongues more than you think. I did not realize how much I did not understand at that age, and I feel retroactive embarrassment for some of the things I said without any idea of what I was talking about. In short, I really like being 37. It is better in nearly every way than being in your 20s. The only thing that truly annoys me is people my own age who constantly make a big deal about how out of touch we are, such as performatively misusing words like Riz. New slang does not mean the whole world has changed or that we have been left behind. I think some people use that to cope with aging, but it gets to me. It overemphasizes a very minor thing and contributes to the ageism that makes younger people think anyone over the age of 30 is out of touch. Story 32. I hate it. I lost my grandfather and a dog this year. I know that once my parents die, I will be alone. Story 33. I am tolerating it better since I have lost 15 pounds with the help of a glucagon-like peptide 1 medication. I had to take a break because I was hit with major unexpected expenses over the summer. My insurance will not cover the medication, which is frustrating. Now that I have lost 15 pounds, it is easier to move around and climb stairs. Since I found out people are allowed to wear a t-shirt over their bathing suits in the pool, I can swim too and hardly any of my body is showing. My body is not as big as it was. Some women even wear capri yoga pants as the bottom half of their swimsuits. I did not know that was allowed either. Doctors tell us we should swim more as we age because it relieves joint pain, but they do not tell us what we can actually wear in the pool. But doctor, you do not understand. What am I to wear? I hope to lose another 15 pounds or more. It takes a long time at my age, but slow weight loss is better because I think it helps most people's bodies accept a new weight set point and the cells will adjust. Just 15 pounds and I notice the difference. It is easier to move about, but it has not cured my back pain. That is physiological. I would have to go back in time to about age 7 or 9 to undo that. Story 34. I much prefer who I am as a person, but I could do without the arthritis and erectile dysfunction. Story 35. I like it. Less drama. I do not give a fuck what people think and am quite happy to call out bullshit. Story 36. I do not like losing the people I love. I am terrified of my mother passing away. She is 79. It hurts. Story 37. I like that getting older has allowed me to see through people's nonsense a lot better, but what I dislike is that my mother is also getting older. Story 38. I do not like being closer to death and less relevant to society, but I do like the idea that people are awed by how I lived in the past without the internet or cell phones. It makes me seem tough. Story 39. It is inevitable. I have no strong feelings about it. I am grateful to be alive and healthy, and I hope to remain so for a long time. Story 40. Getting older is inevitable. I cannot do much about it. I am 76 years old and retired comfortably. I can pretty much do what I want. There can be a silver lining. Story 41. I mostly like it. I am shocked to realize what I actually care about versus what I always thought. Story 42. It's fine so far. By nature, I'm accepting. Story 43. Not everything on my body works as well as it did when I was 20. I have outlived all my enemies, but also some of my friends. The years seem to fly by faster. I'm comfortable in my retirement. I raised an awesome family and now have the freedom and time to pursue my interests. I have enough money to last for the rest of my days. I am still mobile and in good health. I like my life. I have earned a quiet, relaxing retirement. I have no real complaints. I love and am loved. Life is good. Story 44. I love some of it. Other parts, not so much. Bowie said of growing old, "You become the man you were always meant to be. So I guess that's a good thing." Story 45. Whether you like it or not, getting old is out of our control. Story 46. Getting old was not my first choice, but at least I feel young. Story 47. I feel the same. I have the same struggles and am expected to do more and more. I struggle with depression and other issues. Life is terrible and has only been getting worse. Story 48. I like the knowledge and skill you accumulate, but I don't like the injuries that become increasingly difficult to shake. Story 49. It is great that I am growing older every day. However, not being able to perform certain activities without assistance makes things challenging at times. Story 50. I hate it with a vengeance because my wife and daughter are far away and I miss every minute I could have spent with them. Story 51. I would like my functional ankles back, but other than that, it is okay. Story 52. I hate it. I act like I'm 20 and everything hurts more. But you have to suck it up, because physical abilities like running or strength decondition 5 times faster. It's 1,000 times harder to get them back. Totally sucks. Story 53. I feel grateful to be alive but sad about getting older. It is a mixed feeling. One of my good friends said to me, "Aging is a privilege because the alternative is death." So I try to remember that when I think about getting older. Story 54. I do not really dislike it. I just try to enjoy where I am now instead of stressing about my age. Story 55. I accept it. I feel gratitude because not everyone gets the chance to grow older. At the same time, it is extremely stressful for various reasons. Story 56. I love it. I'm glad I live in the country and have an active lifestyle. I have avoided prescription medications. I eat well and stay positive. Story 57. It is not like you have any control over it. Just accept it, although getting up in the morning is getting harder. Story 58. Being 25 and having a 40-something divorced mother has given me a mix of stress and ambition. I feel survivor's guilt. I hope I can do better, but I inevitably feel bad for doing so because I could not give my mother the same opportunity. My ambition comes from wanting the next generation to be better off than my mother and me. Story 59. I'm not getting older yet. I'm putting it off as long as I'm fit enough. Story 60. Getting older is fine. It's just my warranty that seems to have expired. Story 61. I am fine with it. I have lived every part of my life without regrets. Story 62. I don't mind it, but life is becoming mundane. I have no family, no partner, and only 2 friends who hardly ever call. Each day feels like one step closer to the pain being released. I'm really sorry you're feeling so low. Are you thinking about hurting yourself or ending your life? If you are in immediate danger, please call your local emergency number right now. If you are in the United States, you can call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you are outside the United States, please contact your local emergency services or a local crisis hotline. If you'd like, I can help you find resources or talk with you right now. Story 63. It is a privilege and I am grateful for my life. Obviously, it would be wonderful to be as physically able as I used to be, but none of us are getting out of this alive. It is just another stage. Story 64. I feel I am treated better now that I am in my 60s. When I was younger, I was harassed and abused. Story 65. You have to accept it and roll with it. The downside is aching joints, a slow metabolism, and living with old regrets. Otherwise, it can get better if you take care of yourself. Story 66. Sometimes I find out someone is the same age as me. I think, what? That old person? Story 67. Personally, I do not like it because I feel like I am losing time to live fully, and people might ask me, why don't you go after the life you want? But sometimes you do not have that luxury. Story 68. You cannot control aging, so why worry? You can, to some extent, depending on luck, influence your health relative to your age. If you keep in good health, remain grateful, and actively work to stay healthy, there is little to resent. There will be times when you reminisce about what you once did, and that becomes harder if you reach an age of limiting frailty. However, not everyone reaches that stage, and that in itself is a privilege. Story 69. I enjoy the peace of mind. I am comfortable with where I am emotionally. I have the proper ratio of saying fuck it. But the body breaking down part sucks. I did not expect the bodily betrayal I have experienced. I sound like popcorn popping when I stand up. I used to have to do some really intense things and party hard to hurt like I now do on a regular morning. Laughing out loud. Story 70. Life has improved for me. I feel less stressed and more relaxed. I no longer worry about irrelevant things or spend time with toxic people. Story 71. It is a struggle. I can accept it, but I do not like it. My mind still feels like it is in my early 30s, but my body feels its age. I still have a lot I want to accomplish, and I hope it will be possible. Story 72. There are good and bad things about it. Generally speaking, your brain is much more settled, at least for me, than it was when I was young. Story 73. It is difficult. I am 43 with no friends, no partner, no job, and living with my parents. I am autistic and have ulcerative colitis. I exercise every other day and walk the dog on rest days. I generally eat healthily, rarely order takeout, and I do not smoke, drink, or use drugs. For the last 3 weeks, I have had heartburn for the first time. The pain was so severe I can see why many people end up in the accident and emergency department thinking they are having a heart attack. I am now keeping a food diary to identify what else I need to remove from my diet. Story 74. Each day seems better than the last. I don't understand why. The pain is relentless, but I'm happy. Story 75. I hate the body aging part, but I love that I have more money and fewer responsibilities, and therefore more freedom. Save as much as you can when you are young. Pay your future self first. Story 76. I think I am having a crisis over the fact that I will die alone. Story 77. We have no choice and must accept it. I hate it, obviously. I feel like my body betrays me. Everything aches more. For anyone who was athletic growing up or in their 20s and 30s, it is very humbling to have to slow down and do less. Metabolism slows and it is harder to build muscle, to lift as much, and to run as fast. Injuries occur more easily. I look in the mirror and gray hairs appear more and more. Frown lines and wrinkles appear on the forehead, around the mouth, and near the eyes. This is the beginning of what is to come. Mentally and emotionally, when you make a mistake as an older person, you cannot just blame it on being a naive, inexperienced kid. Mistakes can cost more. There is less time to make the money back, to repair relationships, or to fix problems. Unfortunately, as you get older, you have to say goodbye to many people who were always there. The adults who were part of the first part of your life are now reaching the end, so get used to grief and learning how to let go. Death is inevitable, and each loss reminds you how fragile your life is and how your own is not. So far away. When you were younger, you felt invincible and you did not think about it because it felt so far off. Now your years feel numbered. You often think about the future and what you will not get to see, while the young people around you will. It is strange to think about a time when you will no longer be here. Hopefully you balanced fun with work in your youth, found a good job or career, settled, and built a decent life so you do not have to work so hard later. Hopefully you found a partner to share your life and build something together. I see elderly people still forced to work part-time in their 70s and 80s, and it makes me feel sad to see them just scraping by. Story 78. I feel at home in my youthful appearance, although I am letting my gray come in. I am slowly working with my older body and being kind to my soul and others. Story 79. I neither like nor dislike it. It is just something that happens. I worry about getting older and about the medical problems that could arise. My father developed motor neuron disease and my mother developed Parkinson's disease, both without any known family history. I do not want to become incapacitated early, so I am working on my health now. Story 80. It's weird. I'm 45, have 2 kids, a good marriage, and am doing much better financially than I ever anticipated. I am probably the most emotionally mature I have ever been, but I still feel young at heart. It's very strange to look in the mirror and think, who the hell is this old guy looking back at me? Story 81. I do not like it one bit. Sure, the senior benefits and discounts are fantastic, but to no longer have a fully alert brain, good eyesight, and strong muscles is horrible for me. Story 82. I feel like there is a ticking clock on what I have to do to get in shape enough to be happy with the rest of my life. I'm already in my 30s and I neglected things like skincare and working out, so trying to adopt all those habits at once feels daunting. I was anxious about going to the gym in my 20s, and it's not any better now that I'm older and heavier than I thought I was then. I'm basically trying to figure out ways to get healthy without being noticed, which feels impossible. I also feel oddly disconnected from aging because of how I've aged so far. I started getting regularly mistaken for an adult in my early teens, and now that I am an adult, everyone says I look much younger than I am. I like to joke that maybe I did all my aging early and am good for a while, but of course I know that's not true. Story 83. I have never been good at making friends or attracting women, and it has gotten worse as I have aged. I have fewer people to talk to each year. I fear I will be completely alone soon and that there is nothing I can do about it. Story 84. I am 44, and I love it. I am more confident in myself. I know my likes and dislikes, and I am much better at setting boundaries. That said, even with supplements and other treatments, my knees and joints are not as good as they used to be. If I stay up until 5 in the morning, I am a wreck for days. I am still concerned about retirement as it gets closer. The current political upheaval and the state of the world worry me regularly, but when I look back at history, it has always been turbulent, so I try not to stress about it. Story 85. Getting older is fine. It is the degradation of the body that I do not like. I randomly wake up a few times a year and cannot turn my neck, laughing out loud. I work from home, take some painkillers, and endure a miserable day. I also will not drive because that seems like a bad idea, laughing out loud. Story 86. I love the wisdom, experience, and understanding I have now in my 30s. Getting older is something to embrace, and I am doing it. I am glad to be getting older. Not all of my friends had the chance to grow older. Story 87. It took me decades to give the last of the fucks I had. Now that I have none, it is great. Story 88. It is getting easier not to care what other people think, and I appreciate having a sense of history. I do not like how much physical pain comes with the territory or how tired I feel all the time. I do not have the bandwidth to listen to someone talk for more than a few minutes. Get to the point. I will be dead before long. Story 89. I like a few things, but I mostly dislike getting older. When I was 28, I wanted to turn back time. Now I'm turning 30 and most of my friends are married and having children. I do not even miss partying. It is more that I am not in the same place in life as my friends. My expectations were high. I thought I would have a good job and an apartment, but I can only afford a basement bedroom. I love my job, but it pays very poorly. Story 90. I do not like that my fitness is steadily declining, as it makes surfing and skiing harder. But I love not going to work or dealing with clients anymore. My wife's cooking has improved dramatically now that she has more time, and I enjoy a glass or two of wine almost every night. Story 91. Parts of my body I never thought about are starting to hurt. Bodily functions are becoming more complicated. I am really trying to psyche myself up about the next 10 years. I am a 64-year-old woman. Story 92. There are milestone years that can be tough and cause existential crises. For me, they were 25 and 45. Story 93. The wisdom is worth it. The weird body breaking down things is not. Story 94. I hate it. I became mentally stunted at 17. I did not have the school to college transition because of the coronavirus pandemic, and the way I feel in my head is not getting any better. Time keeps passing, and there are more expectations placed on me. Story 95. I did not care until I turned 60. Then I realized that, in all likelihood, I have maybe 20 years left, of which only 10 will be decent. It is a bummer, but I am trying to stay healthy and active for as long as I can. Story 96. My feelings about it are irrelevant. As someone for whom fitness and exercise are very important, I am not excited about the prospect of slowing down and not being able to do everything I want. But I read that people's satisfaction with life tends to improve after age 50. So I will take it as it comes, see how my priorities change, and hope it clicks when I am older. I know my joints will need more care. At the very least, I hope to stay active throughout my life. I have never cared about being the biggest person in the gym. I just want to be able to hike in the mountains even in my 80s. Story 97. I don't care about getting old, but I do care about looking unattractive with wrinkles and sagging skin. Story 98. There is no option to get younger or to remain the same age, so it is better than the only alternative. Story 99. Attention from women increases as their age decreases, and it's another beautiful day. Story 100. I hate setting my calendar based on doctor's appointments. I sometimes wonder if I have just fallen for the medical industrial complex idea that says I have to see them twice a year, so I will live to be 90 and make sure they do not miss a boat payment. And if I do not, I will croak at 89. Wow, I just realized how negative I sound. Young people, pay no attention and just move along. Story 101. I love it. With each passing year, I become more experienced in life. I am more confident, have less anxiety, and much greater self-confidence. I kind of wish I had felt like this when I was younger, but I imagine it is a blessing that comes with age. Story 102. I love it for the wisdom and freedom it gives me, not so much for aging and losing friends and loved ones. I have lived and learned. I do my best to be patient with myself and others and to appreciate every day. Story 103. I'm just scared. I'm 24, but I think like a 15-year-old most of the time. Story 104. With every new ache, I am wondering if it is permanent. While I get senior discounts, my dental coverage gets worse. There are funerals and memorials, especially for people my age. Story 105. It just feels like the benders could be the last one every time now. Story 106. I feel good having so much freedom, but it comes with many responsibilities. Story 107. It feels like a fucking curse. I don't want to get old. Story 108. I have mixed feelings. I am responsible for myself, which is freeing, but at the same time I wonder what it really means to be responsible for myself. Story 109. I do not care at the moment, but this will probably become an issue in the future. Story 110. I am torn between liking and disliking it. On one hand, I am excited to grow old and see living to an old age as a gift. On the other hand, I grieve my childhood because I know I will never get those days back, and many things I will never feel, experience, or see for the first time again. Being a child was easy and simple, but I wanted to be an adult to understand the world better. Now that I do, I want to go back to not knowing. Story 111. I like it. It is a blessing that we get to age. I lost a friend who will remain the age they were when they passed in my mind forever. When I think about aging, I see it as a blessing to be able to do so. Story 112. I don't mind getting older. It's just scary that my parents are too. I am 54. My mother is 79 years old and my father is 83 years old. I know I am lucky and hope to have many more years. I don't allow myself to think about it yet. They are both relatively healthy and active. Story 113. I used to poke fun at my dad for being old, and he would always tell me, if you're lucky, one day you'll be old too. I never understood it as a kid, but I get it now at 32 after having friends and family pass away. I neither like nor dislike it. I just hope I get to grow old. Story 114. I once heard that the best part of growing old is that you do not have to worry about dying young. Conversely, the best part of staying young is that you do not have to worry about growing old. Story 115. It's fine. Every year brings something new, and I feel bigger in a sense. Older women are so beautiful. Story 116. I have always liked the concept of getting older. I never understood why everyone had a huge problem with it until I learned that it is mostly the changes in physical appearance that people dislike. If you are born unattractive, people may call you gross your whole life, so that does not really matter. As I get older, aging seems to be more about the body falling apart, but you can combat some of that by actively taking care of yourself. Again, it does not really bother me. Obviously, as I become elderly, my body will deteriorate, but that is just part of life. When I was younger, I was very excited to turn 30 because that seemed to be the magical age when people finally believe that you know what you want with your life. Now in my 40s, I get a lot less unfocused attention from men in public, and it is glorious. I call it unfocused because it is clear they behave that way toward everyone, not that they are specifically interested in me. People do still show interest sometimes, but it is more specific. What I am excited for is going gray. I think gray hair is beautiful. I do not really have a problem with mortality. We are all going to die and we never know when. I do not want to die, but I have accepted that I will. When I was a kid and still now as I age, I have been excited about gaining experience and learning more. As a weirdo loser, it has been enlightening to understand my patterns, see how the world works, and find acceptance through knowledge. Story 117. It's a process. It's strange to see my husband and me age while my kids are growing up. I never thought about this when I was younger, even though I went through the same thing with my parents. Story 118. It's not easy, but I'm doing it after rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, and chemotherapy. Story 119. I hate that my body feels older than my age. Story 120. Life is good. It beats the alternative. If the alternative is that good, it will be worth the wait. Story 121. I just have to accept it. I am not overly enthused about turning 50 next year, but I am doing all right. Story 122. I wasn't ready for the physical pain, the ageism, or the drugs they want me to take just because I'm a certain age. I still feel 32. Story 123. Being more than halfway past my life expectancy of 40 years, I am ready to embrace the sweet release of death. I'm sorry you're feeling this way. Are you thinking about harming yourself right now? If you are in immediate danger, please call your local emergency number. If you're in the United States, you can call or text 988 for support. If you're elsewhere, please contact local emergency services or a local crisis hotline. It may help to tell someone you trust or seek professional support. I can help find resources or a crisis line in your area if you want. Story 124. I am 57. In my head, I still look 35. It is jarring how much I have changed. I catch my reflection in a mirror or window and do not recognize the person looking back. I get tired easily. I dislike going out. I enjoy watching and feeding birds and tending my garden. I collect seeds for the garden. I got hearing aids a few months ago. Last winter I fell while shoveling snow and broke my wrist. I still go to the occasional punk show, but only for bands I want to see. I dislike running into people from my past. Story 125. I should have been dead 5 or 6 times in my life. Now that I'm 63, bending down to pick up anything is always accompanied by an ugh. I didn't see that coming. Matt. Story 126. I enjoy not caring what people think and doing what I want. Lately I have been visiting different beaches and going nude. It is refreshing. Story 127. I'll be 60 on my next birthday, and I feel great about it. I'm happily married and love my family. I'm retiring in a few years. Story 128. I hate my life either way. It does not make a lot of difference. Story 129. I will continue to age until I drop. It has always been that way. I do think about the passing of time and mortality more than I did 10 years ago, but it is not something I really worry about. I am thankful to be here for whatever time I have with my loving family. When I was born, I was not expected to live for long because of heart defects, so I am thankful for every day, even the tough ones. Story 130. I like getting older for the stories. I dislike it for the random aches. Story 131. I am 51, but I feel about 28. I am not fond of being older because I cannot run as well. It is very easy to gain weight, and I no longer get the same attention from women. I do not stress about it. Time is passing, so be it. There is no use worrying about something you cannot control. It happens to everyone, and worrying will only make it worse as time goes by. Story 132. Can we even have a good time? I'm 30 and I'm not having one. Story 133. I hate it. As a woman, it is harder. I feel invisible, as if I am not even human. When people look at me, they act like I am a poor old woman. I did not get to live my life, and now I never will. Story 134. The pressure to achieve is gone. The relentless anxiety that accompanied it has disappeared as well. I no longer care what people think of me or seek their approval. That defined my life from adolescence to my mid-40s. 52. I am finally free. Story 135. Don't love it, especially the speed of aging. It beats the alternative, though. Story 136. I hate it. I want more time to spend with my fiancé. Getting older is a constant reminder that our time together is limited. Story 137. It has been good. I had a very happy childhood, but the teen years were rough. I made a lot of decisions that nearly destroyed me. My 20s were mostly spent depressed and mourning friends who did not make it. I did not really start to feel comfortable in my life until I turned 30. I am now 35. I went from being clinically depressed and entirely dependent on my family to owning my home, running my business, and getting married. I put a lot of work into reframing my reality, and I owe much to my wife. Living for her helped me realize my self-worth and potential, which I then acted on. Studying theology and philosophy and adopting a utilitarian approach instead of seeking ultimate truth were my main tools alongside therapy. I realized that I had been a victim of patriarchy, that society did not permit me to feel and love naturally, and I decided to redefine my understanding of being a man and to dismantle society's toxic values about manhood. Story 138. It's like transitioning from a barbarian to a wizard. I used to be strong and dumb, but now I'm getting smarter and weaker. Story 139. As a 57-year-old woman and mother of 4 wonderful young adults, I am not fond of the bittersweet feeling. I love the people my children have become, but the tender places in my heart ache as they are flying away. Story 140. 2 stars only. Is there a return option? I do not want a refund. Story 141. I do not mind getting older, but I hate hearing younger people say they are getting old when they are 7 years younger than me, 28 versus 35. Does that make me ancient or something? Story 142. I enjoy getting older. I wonder when and how it will end. We'll find out soon enough, I suppose. Getting older is enjoyable because sometime in the middle, around 50, it can feel like a new life or a chance to start over. It crystallizes in you that you have more years behind you than ahead, and a determination not to repeat the same mistakes in the second half of life takes hold. Things that used to matter fade into the background or disappear entirely. How you choose to spend your time becomes the central concern, and you become accustomed to aches, pains, health issues, and limitations that never existed before. You can quietly enjoy watching your children fail and then succeed, starting the cycle anew. Watching grandchildren play is a lot of fun, as is catching up with old friends or making new ones. Your skin loosens, hair falls out in some places and grows in others, and your beard may turn from gray to white. There is plenty more to say, and this is longer than I intended. That's okay. I'm old, and all I know how to do is talk, or in this case, type. Story 143. I am in my 40s dealing with perimenopause and I hate it. My libido is suffering. I was on Celexa for a while and gained 30 pounds in 4 months. I am no longer taking it, and I eat healthier than I ever have and I exercise more than I have in 10 years, but I cannot lose a single pound. My insomnia is terrible. I am very emotional and sometimes feel a weird internal rage I have never experienced before. I am actually looking forward to getting past this hormonal nightmare, but right now it is awful. 2 thumbs down. Story 144. It kind of feels like a series of closing doors, but maybe that depends on what matters to you. Either way, it is not like I have a choice, so it is whatever. Story 145. I mostly accept it, but some things still surprise me and cause bitterness. For example, my worsening eyesight and trembling hands. I love to play board games, but the last time I tried to set up a game with small text on the pieces, I couldn't see it without magnification, and that caused me sorrow. My hands tremble when I try to move stacked pieces. I shake and they fall. Another change is losing strength in my arms and legs. It is a bit alarming and concerning. 3 years ago, I moved furniture with no problems, but now I struggle with some larger pieces. Age comes to us all. Story 146. I don't like the health problems that come with aging. Eye floaters, gum recession, and digestive issues. It sucks. Story 147. I'm really sorry you're feeling this way. Are you safe right now? If you are in immediate danger, call emergency services, for example, 911 in the United States, or your local emergency number. If you are in the United States, you can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you are outside the United States, I can help find local resources. Consider reaching out to someone you trust or a mental health professional and let them know how you're feeling. If you'd like the edited text for text-to-speech, here it is. The older I get, the more I can't wait for the end. It's like reading a bad book. A great first half, a kind of lackluster middle, and by the end the author just gave up. Story 148. Getting old sucks, and every day is better than the next. Story 149. Obviously, I don't love it. It's hard having a body that always cooperated with me and is now showing some diva attitude. However, I am more comfortable and accepting of myself, which is a lovely change of pace. Additionally, I am now invisible to most men, and I really like that. After 40+ years of tension, it is a welcome development. I spend more time thinking about what I eat, how much sleep I get, how my digestion is working, and the state of my mind. My plan is to get the absolute most I can out of my body for however much time I have. Most of the time, I am not thinking about being in my late 50s. Story 150. For me, I do not mind it because it is a privilege denied to many. The hard part is realizing that for me to become part of the older generation, the current older generation must pass away. I am not enjoying the changing of the guard, so to speak. Story 151. Do not look forward to it, especially if you are 70 or older. It seems awful. Story 152. I think everyone is a lot happier when they are younger. Not that achieving the dreams you had as a child when you are an adult isn't fun, but as you grow older you keep building dreams on top of dreams and forget to enjoy the little things and be childlike. I feel that if you can stay in touch with your childlike energy, you will always be happy. Story 153. After I hit my late 30s, I realized I could no longer sulk about losing my teenage metabolism. I had to be careful about what and how much I consumed and actually exercise. I was a yo-yo with my figure during the years I dealt with health declines in my immediate family. I baked to comfort myself, and other factors led me to the worst shape of my life in my mid-30s. I also realized I was still relatively healthy even if people around me were not. I needed no prescription medications, had no diagnoses other than an occasional skin rash, and experienced no pain. Once I found exercise I could sustain long-term, rebounding on a mini trampoline, I began steadily losing fat while also doing resistance training with bands and dumbbells all at home. I feel more confident in my appearance again, can wear cuter, more form-fitting clothes like I used to, and my physical stamina and mental fortitude have improved. Thanks to a change in mindset and lifestyle adjustments that made me recognize I was metabolically unhealthy even without a doctor's diagnosis, life feels better now. Story 154. I invented the term temporal thalassophobia. I am amazed at how long ago some memories feel. I think, fuck, I am very old. Was I really alive for that whole interval in between? My memories are starting to get sour. I do not like the past so much anymore. I am experiencing the opposite of nostalgia. I take it as a good sign. Story 155. I like the confidence, wisdom, and progress that come with aging. I am not fond of the physical aspects, but I have started working out to help minimize those effects. The idea of losing mobility and independence scares me. Story 156. I love getting older. As watching my family and friends grow old that sucks. All I do is make more money, have an old bull mentality, and spend more on myself. Story 157. How you feel follows a bell curve. When you are young, you can hardly wait to get older. After a certain age, you become ambivalent about aging until you begin to lose friends and loved ones. As you lose abilities you once excelled at, you increasingly dislike getting older. Story 158. I don't feel much different, and I look the best I ever have. So far, so good. I am aging well and approaching 32. Story 159. I have come to make peace with it. I am not looking forward to it, but I prefer it to the alternative. Story 160. 40 years ago, I felt I had all the time in the world and believed that, by the time I grew old, people would be living forever or at least much longer. Today, I read that the new Harry Potter television series will debut in 2027 and run for 10 years. I am wondering whether I should start watching it now. Story 161. I love what I do. The best thing about getting older has been becoming noticeably better at it and more respected in my community. Pro tip: getting older becomes much easier if you exercise and eat well. Story 162. Do you remember the movie Dazed and Confused? Matthew McConaughey sums it up. The older you get, the more rules they are going to try to make you follow. Story 163. Realizing time is not endless. There is a little voice that says, shit, am I running out of time for the things I want? Story 164. Love it. 44 and not missing youthful insecurities at all. Embrace getting older. The alternative sucks. Story 165. I am so happy not to be in my 20s during this fascist shitshow. Story 166. The best part of my life started at 40. 5 years later, I couldn't be happier. Story 167. It's embarrassing. It's very lonely as all your friends die. None of my friends made it to 50. Lack of proper health care in the United States makes life miserable. I will never be able to afford new glasses. I have been refused dental crowns. Can hardly eat and cannot close my mouth. I have constant, around-the-clock pain in my legs, elbows, mouth, and back. Basically everywhere I have ever hurt myself now hurts. They will not give me pain medication. I learned from magnetic resonance imaging that diazepam, known as Valium, is the most effective medication for my depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. But I am not allowed to have it because of strict drug laws. I can only receive medications that make me sick. Some United States doctors prescribe drugs that are banned in other countries because of the risk of sudden death. You cannot survive on Social Security, so you are left to die in the street. There is no help anywhere as politicians have stolen the money for themselves. My conclusion is to die early. It is in your best interest. Story 168. I love it. You've learned so much, are more at peace and freer, and frankly, the world isn't all that great, so I'm not pressed to spend a lot of time here. I'm actually looking forward to aging out of here. Story 169. Of course it sucks. I am a 66-year-old man. I am glad to be alive and healthy, but there is nothing good about getting old. My body is wearing out, and once you retire, society regards you as less. Story 170. Advantages. I am calmer, wiser, and less rash and impulsive. Disadvantages. Unending physical pain. Story 171. I hate it. I cannot say I particularly like the fact that I am going to die, even with faith in a good afterlife. I do not like that the long-term trend is toward having a weaker body that will end up hurting more, assuming I do not get a really nasty disease, although I think medical improvements will make cancer less of a threat in old age. It is also a reminder of my own mortality. To be honest, my life was better during my student days before the COVID-19 pandemic. I would love to be a student again, but it would harm my employment prospects to pursue another Doctor of Philosophy degree, and my work has enough social value that another degree would be expensive self-indulgence. Story 172. I am 18 now, but I do not really feel any different. I still feel like a kid pretending to be an adult. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.